All right. Welcome to the first ever episode of the Recovery Room Book Club. And I know it's different than what we usually do, but it's never too late for change. The normal shows aren't going anywhere. We're still doing that every Tuesday. The book club is every Wednesday. And then there'll be a dedicated channel for the book club content where a recorded version of these conversations about the different books that we read will be uploaded every Friday. So once the first upload over there goes live, this description will have that link in it. So subscribe to it if you like the book club stuff. But anyway, we kicking it off with a bang. No Country for Old Men. Content that we are familiar with based off of the film. So that was a good jumping off point, in our opinion, for something like this. But everybody knows that the book is always better. So let me pull my notes out. Let us get going. Just a second. All right, I got the notes pulled up. You want to kick it off with just your overall thoughts on the experience of reading through the first four chapters of this book and how you feel about it? Because I will say that just me personally, and I've said this on the normal show a bunch of times, that I usually just read to get informed about stuff. I don't really read for entertainment. And then around right after Christmas, I had Blood Meridian already. I have it, like the 1,200 page mega book of it, and something just told me, like, man, pick that it book up and start reading it. And then I just got bit by the bug to read through books. So, but what's your overall, just how you feel about the book so far in comparison to the movie?
I like the book so far, and I feel, and just a little backstory. This is probably one of the first books that I'm actually sitting down and reading, like actually for leisure in a while. So, and to also like this movie, I'm finding that the book has certain things that are slightly different, um, and it feels like certain parts of the book are happening sooner than it did in the movie. I don't know if you was feeling kind of the same way while reading it, but um, it's a really enjoyable read. It is the language in it is good. And I mean, overall, I'm just enjoying reading this. It's a good one. It's a good one.
Yeah, that's one thing I did notice also, and that's one thing that you will notice with books, because I did read the last book I read for leisure before I got the bug back to start over was uh The Girl on the Train, right?
Mm.
And The Girl on the Train, you realize that the movie had to cut out a bunch of stuff. It had to condense a bunch of stuff down. It had to change characters around. And then, like, when you read No Country for Old Men, you realize that some of the characters aren't even in the movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, or very minor characters like Sheriff Lamar. He isn't even his name isn't even credited in the movie. Like, he's just the El Paso sheriff. That's all he is. Um, so, excuse me, not trying to have that happening. So, you always, number one, when it's a book, you get in the original vision, for better or for worse. Like, it's a book I was looking at us doing in the future, way down the line, but the original vision might not be the preferred way for people to take that book in. Like, you know what I'm saying? People might actually like the movie version of that better, but that doesn't have anything to do with this. So with the book, you get the original vision for better or for worse, and um, it's more time. The book doesn't have to be condensed down to be able to fit into a 2 hour runtime. You know what I mean? The book has the freedom to stretch his legs out. And again, that could be for better or for worse. Because with it, the main complaint I've seen in reference to the movie versus the book, the main complaint was against the book. And I saw people praise the movie for cutting out stuff that they deemed stupid in the book. But you know what I mean? Like, I just don't share that opinion. I like to, when it comes to media like that, there's multi-part or there's multimedia that stretches across different forms of media, film, book, game, whatever. I like to experience all the different parts of it. And they all can coexist to me. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's good or bad, like the Girl on the Train movie is horrible. But it can all coexist. But that's enough of a preamble. Let's get into it. So, No Country for Old Men, world famous by Cormac McCarthy. I think he just passed away either this year either last year or in 2024. But Cormac McCarthy, one of the best authors, most acclaimed authors of all time, at least American authors. One second. And he's just Cormac McCarthy. Let's talk about him first. He has a very unique writing style, a writing style that you won't see in many other places, if anywhere else. And the thing about him is, at least to me, his books are built to keep you engaged because they don't hold your hand, you know? And we was talking about this a couple days ago where when you're reading his books, you might, like in No Country for Old Men in particular, in certain parts of the first 4 chapters, you're switching back between English and Spanish, whether you know what the Spanish words are saying or not. Like, you better use context clues. You know what I mean? So you're switching between the two, whether you know what's being said or not. And the dialogue that's being spoken is switching between characters, whether you know who's talking or not. There's no quotations. There's very few he said and she says. You just need to keep up with the conversation. And if you lose track of who's saying what, you need to go back to the top of the page and try it again. So, when you first encountered that style of writing, how did that hit you? Because that's a big thing with his writing.
It did kind of catch me off guard, and I mean, those at least the first 2 chapters that I read, it was kind of throwing me for a loop, especially with how it's written. Some of the words with the Spanish, and then some words are like written out to be country. Like, yeah, so like it kind of threw me off guard, but like now I'm kind of understanding the way he was writing a little bit more. So it's becoming more enjoyable as I keep going.
Right.
And I'm ready to see
And
what Blood Meridian, like it's kind of opening my eyes to want to see like how he uses this writing style in his other work.
so, like, Blood Meridian, not to get off topic, like, I'm gonna try to stay on topic way more than than I am when we do the regular shows. But Blood Meridian, I did read through the first chapter of that. I'm gonna start it over for when we do it, but I did read through the first chapter, and Blood Meridian is even more hectic in the writing style than this is. Like, when you open up the book, on the page where you see like the review blurbs, the first one, it says that No Country for Old Men is the most accessible Cormac McCarthy book. It does. It flat out says that. Um, so Blood Meridian is even more hectic. Like you gotta parse who the hell is talking in the middle of fist fights. You know, like while they're fighting and trying to kill each other. Like they're talking to each other, and you have to figure. You gotta keep up with who's who.
Mm-hmm.
Like so. Um, Let me do this real quick. Just a second. Let me get my little document pulled up with the No Country for Old Men first 4 chapter notes. I told you my ass is after I wrote the notes on the first 4 chapters, I done put end of part 1 like I was actually writing the book or something. I think I got a little too caught up in myself. But when you kick off No Country for Old Men, you kick it off the book itself um, in the scene from the perspective of Sheriff Lamar. That's where it starts, right? And of course, Sheriff Lamar is talking, and every chapter starts off with one of the sheriffs talking. Most of the time it's Bell, but at the beginning of the book is Sheriff Lamar. And you see the italics, you know that's the sheriff talking, right? It wastes no time getting straight into the action. You know what I'm saying? It wastes no time getting straight into the action. Where Anton Chigurh basically, and I'm gonna get into the themes. Basically, I just see him as a representation, like a personification of the Grim Reaper, a personification of fate, something that's inevitable that no matter how you try to get away from it, you can't get away from it. That's what he's written like in the book so far. Um, so it wastes no time getting straight into the action with the scene of Anton Chigurh killing the deputy. You know what I'm saying? Killing him, choking him out, strangling him with the handcuffs. He took his eye off of him. Of course, the deputy took his eye off of him for just a second. He slipped the handcuffs underneath him, um, and underneath his boots up to the front and attacked. And you see it in the movie. And of course, it's a world famous, critically acclaimed, Oscar winning. I think Javier Bardem did win the Oscar for this role movie. So you see the movie and you see Anton perform the kill in the movie, and you see how he's just staring off into space like he don't feel nothing, and you see the camera zoom in on his face. The book gets way more graphic than that. It tells you how the handcuff chain is cutting through the deputy's jugular vein. It tells you how his eyes are starting to bleed, how they're writhing around on the floor, kicking documents around. Stuff is falling off the desk. And basically he's damn near decapitating the deputy with the chains. You know what I'm saying? Like in the book.
It goes to show you how brutal Chigurh is. Almost like he's a supernatural force when it kind of starts.
Right. And it sets you up to recognize him as a supernatural force. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and and you get touches of his humanity. He doesn't escape any of this shit unscathed. You know what I mean? Even at the beginning, even when he's not a superhero. Even when he's choking the deputy out, he injures himself doing it. He cuts his wrist doing it. You know what I'm saying? But it's brutality. Like it's brutality. He has no other. Anton Chigurh has no other objective than to eliminate whatever he's after. You know, he hunts people. That's what he does. He's a hunter. He has no friends, no allies. If you think you with him, you will get shot too.
Mm-hmm.
But we can continue. Um, the sheriffs, both sheriffs, but especially Bell. Bell is like he can feel what's coming. It's like the wave of death has touched his soul. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like the way that he talks to people throughout the first four chapters of the book, it's like he can feel that hell is coming to his town.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And he keeps his he doesn't show that to the people around him because you can tell when Bell is having internal monologues in the book, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can tell. It's like it is. I wouldn't say it's hard to tell, but like it's hard to explain because we already explained how the writing style is of Cormac. But once it's going, you can tell when you can just tell when it's switching to his internal perspective, right? And his internal perspective, whether he's panicking or not, he never shows it externally. At least in the first four chapters, he never shows it. He's been the sheriff for like 25 years or even or more than that, because he became the sheriff when he was 25 years old in the book, fresh back from whatever war he was in. And I don't think it said he was back from the war. I don't think it specified which one when he became sheriff. I think he was sheriff at the same time that his grandfather was sheriff of another town. Um, but he knows. You know what I'm saying? And he'll let something slip like, yeah, something that we've never seen is approaching us. Stuff like that. Um, but what do you think? What do you think about Bell?
Uh, he kind of reminds me of like a old. I mean, like a old cowboy sheriff though. Like it's like old fashioned justice. like
That's what he is too. That's what he is.
right, like is literally just like old fashioned justice. Like he talks about like young criminals who commit crimes, and he he's just feeling like you said he feels the fate of um Chigurh coming, like he feels it, and it's just with all the increase of violence that was going on at that moment, you know, with the unnamed deputy getting killed in the joint, and then going on to transferring to Chigurh, killing the civilian to take the car, and that's when they introduce um, one of the weapons, one of the craziest weapons. Um,
Go ahead and talk about it, because it's
I,
the famous weapon from the movie. It is the weapon, bro.
bruh, so Chigurh walks around with like a it's like a bolt tank. Like it's used to kill cattle. like he puts it
Mm-hmm.
between your eyes and he shoots. Is it like a metal like it's like
It's like a steel rod,
yeah,
bro.
yeah, a
Steel
steel
rod
rod.
shoots.
And it
A
he
pressurized air shoots a steel rod out. That's what
uh-huh.
it does.
And then
Go ahead.
leaving it's almost like a gunshot wound. Um and this goes
But it,
on to be one of the like key things that he uses um to inflict pain um and also to use as um the it serves other uses like and I mean I don't want to like spoil the other chapters but he used that to get in places and everything so yeah.
and look how genius it is when they first discovered the civilian that was killed, because Chigurh just killed him because he needed a car, right? Needed a car after he killed the deputy. So you come across Chigurh, you know what I'm saying, you probably gonna die unless he decides he wants to play his coin flip game with you. But we'll get to that later. But he needed the car. Um, he posed as an officer, told him to step out of the car, and look that whole scene where he told the civilian to step out of the car, right? Where the civilian Chigurh is clearly not a police officer. It maybe I'm overthinking it, but you know, when we start really analyzing stuff, I start thinking about it crazily. But to me, that felt like a warning against just conforming to something, just showing blind compliance, because that's what got the civilian killed. He just did what the guy said just to do it, just because he said do it. Said, step out of the car. Step out of the car. The dude is carrying an oxygen tank in his hand. He didn't have a badge. He didn't have on a deputy's uniform. He did have a cop car, but that's all he had. And he just complied. He just listened to him. Stepped out, bolt through the head. But this is the thing, right? This is how ingenious it is. The weapon leaves no evidence behind. It leaves no exit wound, no bullet fragments, nothing.
And see,
Like,
I was gonna get into that too, because in some of the later chapters, they get some information and they really don't know how to deal with the information. But we'll get to that too.
and bro, exactly. It shows you how well written it is, because they get into it's a reason why they figure out what it even is. And it's because the particular two officers, Sheriff Bell and Deputy Wendell, have been to a certain place, Bell in particular, and because he'd been to a slaughterhouse, let's just get it out of the way now.
Yeah.
That's how he was even able to identify what Chigurh was killing people with.
Not, and let alone, I mean, since you already threw that out there, let alone killing people with, getting into homes, you know, getting into hotel rooms. Like, this is what he used as a main tool. Not only just torture. Like, this is a tool.
It is a means to get goals accomplished. You know what I'm saying? No matter what those goals are, where they might not be the best of goals, but they are his goals nonetheless. And you fast forward to well, not fast forward, but the story is told from different perspectives. So it jumps back and forth in time, but not huge jumps. So like you'll get different pieces, right? So you'll get what Chigurh was doing, and then it'll jump and tell you what Bell was doing at that time. You know what I'm saying? So you jump back and forth in time, maybe a day at a time, or 22 or 3 hours at a time. You jumping back and forth. So that's something you got to kind of keep up with, and that gets us into the next part. It jumps away from the sheriff being away from the deputy being killed. It jumps away from the welcome to the stream, appreciate you. It jumps away from the civilian being killed, and it jumps to the other. We already got two of the main men mentioned: Anton Chigurh, the second main man, Sheriff Bell, the third one, Llewellyn Moss. It jumps to him going out to hunt deer on one morning, and this shows you how the strings of fate can just wrap you up.
Right.
And your stupid decisions can get you wrapped up too. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, and see, this book relies heavily. Well, it's about choices. It's about the
Right.
choices that you make, and it really goes into those choices really being life or death. Like straight
Exactly.
up, life or death.
It shows you how. Have you ever? I know everybody's had this. Everybody's had that thought, man. If I would have just did that one thing different,
Uh-huh.
you know what I'm saying? Not even if I would have just did that one thing different. I've looked at situations that have happened as irreversible and said, "Damn, just a single different thing happened and would have changed this." You know what I'm saying? So like we get out, um, Moss is out in, it's not necessarily the desert. You know what I'm saying? It's like he's out in the middle of a mountain range, a stream, a big the way it's described in the book, it almost sounds like a national park, like one of the nature parks or something, but it's not necessarily what it is. He's out there, he's hunting deer, going about his daily routine as he would, on a day when he decides to go out and hunt in the morning. And of course, the dog. A dog catches his attention. Now, it gets into great detail about the scenery. It gets into great detail about him trying to hunt the deer. You know what I'm saying? About him trying to train his scope on the deer, and the deer moves. He trains his scope on him again. Look at how all of that is playing into him discovering some shit he should have never ever had parts in. Like, and the dog pops out. What's the dog doing out here? He's thinking. And in his scope, after he shoots the deer, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
After he gets, I think he did land one shot on the deer finally. In his binoculars, he notices some trucks just out there in the middle of the field that really shouldn't be there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he focuses in again and he notices something that really, really shouldn't be there. Bodies.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So he sees these trucks. He, like you said, he discovers the bodies. Um, in turn, he discovers, you know, guns, heroin, and he eventually kind of looks at the tracks because he is like an expert tracker,
Mm-hmm.
and he walks, you know, a little ways away to find a single body, who has died from a gunshot wound with a briefcase of money.
Well, hold on 1 second. Hold on. Let's get into how this is because how this is conveyed though. It's conveyed. This is another thing that makes it different from the movie. How a movie has to be condensed. It doesn't get and I'm not, we're not down in the movie. I love this movie. Don't get me wrong. The Coen brothers, they don't miss. Like they just don't. But what happens is that in the book it conveys you how vast the space that he's in really is. It tells you it takes him like 30 to 45 minutes to walk from where he was at trying to shoot the deer down to where he saw the cars. You know what I'm saying? Like no cuts. You know what I'm saying? Like in the movie, he's walking for 30 seconds and he pops up at the vehicles. In the book, he's walking for 30 to 45 minutes before he gets there. It conveys the scenery. It's how it's switching from a grassy plain. This is also helps to convey how far he moved. Switches from a grassy plain surrounded by mountains to damn near the desert.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, and this is based in Texas, so it gotta be some wild scenery out there, bro. Like just on a like if this is the way Texas really is in some of those rural areas, it's got to be crazy. But back on topic. Um, he gets out there. Excuse me. I'm trying to let me mute this microphone. All right, I'm back. So go ahead on. Describe the scene some more.
So he, so upon finding these people, he also finds a dying man, and it's the sole survivor of the shootout. And he ended up asking Moss for water, and
It, that's where the Spanish first kicked in, bro. Like, the Spanish, like it's just Spanish out of nowhere, no warning. You better know what agua means. I mean, it's kind of easy to figure out what that is,
right,
but you get later in the book and this stuff that I didn't know what it was. I just went with the flow. You know what I mean? But go ahead.
yeah, um, and yeah, so he, and then it gets into him, refuse. Well, he really kind of brushed it off. He didn't give him any water at first, um, and then he walks and finds the other body and finds the money and it's like $2.9 million in the briefcase, and then it also gets into that temptation and moral testing where he's like, I just found all this money, like, and then he chooses, he makes a choice, and he takes the money, which ultimately ultimately will probably be one of the worst decisions he could make, is taking that money.
He made that choice to take that money, and immediately the other path that his future could have took was gone forever. Like I said, like when I wrote down in one of my notes, what is it? Once you've made certain decisions, there's no going back. Moss took that money, and even if he could return it, that wouldn't save him.
It wasn't.
He also, just to paint the scene out a little bit more, what did he find? Dead bodies. He found a Mac 11 that he took with him. Found some shotguns. Found bullets. And that goes to show you that this whole situation was evil from the beginning, because the untold story, you don't have to, the unwritten part that you can pick up from the just the state that Llewellyn found the scene in, is that this drug deal was never ever intended to go through.
It wasn't.
The people, though, both parties intended on killing each other. Like, at the very least, the buyer was intending on killing. The buyer was definitely never intending on letting that money stay with the dealers, ever. So they talk about how the cars looked.
Yeah.
And that's like, it gets straight down into the detail of, that's how they can tell what type of weapons were used, because the bullets, the bullet holes were just painted across the side of the car in damn near straight lines. So we talking about some high capacity magazine, high rate of fire weapons. And of course, Moss did find none other than the Mac 11. That's what he found, right? Because it was a later on in the book, other automatic weapons than Mac 11s, but he found a Mac 11, if I'm not mistaken. I could be, but it was definitely a sort of submachine gun. Let me just put it that way. He found it, took it with him. But he got himself involved in something he didn't belong in. And whatever normal life he could have had, he killed his future self when he took that, when that money moved one step away from where it was at. Matter of fact, let's rewind it. it won't even him taking the money, in my opinion. It was him even taking his ass down to the scene that sealed him up.
Yeah.
That got him wrapped up in this.
It was the
Mm.
curiosity for him to see that, and then want to take that extra look, because then you're already too deep into it at that point if you're even walking down there, and you're giving
He
yourself room to even find other things.
and what happens when he gets down there? No, after he examines the scene, he's packed up the shit he's intending on stealing. What happens? He no, no, let me go back. He packs it up, he takes it home.
Yeah.
He goes to see his wife.
Yeah.
Innocent person, you know what I'm saying? She can't even believe the crap he's talking when he tells her that he's gotten millions, his hands on millions of dollars. She like bullshit,
Yeah. She don't
you
really
know?
believe him. Um,
Mm.
she don't believe him at all. But it was one thing that kind of stuck with him, why he was at home and why he went back, which led him back to the crime scene.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Uh, so it goes back to the guy that wanted the water. Um,
Right.
it kind of plays on his conscience, right? He's like, he's going back and forth. So he returns back to the crime scene with the water. Um, and I believe that was also motivated by guilt. Like he felt bad for not initially giving him the water. Um, so he goes back. It offers water where he's then spotted by some armed men. Um,
And I also think to add on to your point, motivated by guilt, I think played on his conscience. I also think he was trying to get himself some good karma back.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think he was, but I mean, the guy had already been out there filled with bullet holes. He won't be taking no drinks by the time you came back, sir. Um, but I think he was trying to rub off some of whatever he got on himself by going to that scene and taking that money. But it won't no rubbing it off. Once he went to the scene and once he took the money, he was done. Let me stop. Once that money started moving, he was done. You know what I'm saying? To the point where, you know what I mean? He had already been contemplating how to get his wife up out of there. To me, like reading through it, it felt like he was already contemplating how to get his wife out of town before he even went back the second time. But go ahead on describe this the second visit to the scene.
Yeah. So he's spotted by the armed men. Um, and it comes to find out the armed men are connected to the drug deal. Um, and it's not really explained like a whole 100% like who they are, but they're connected to the organized violence that is happening in the town that they're in. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but overall, he is discovered and he's chased. Um, he's chased
Chased
through the
down in a
desert.
truck.
Yeah, in a truck.
Ch-
Like the guys are
it-
chasing him in a truck, and they're looking for him. And he uses his awareness, and also he uses survival instincts to kind of outsmart them and get away. But he didn't get away unscathed. He does get shot.
Shot in his arm. And another thing, like you said, he uses his awareness, his smarts, also his familiarity with the area, because he knew if he got across the river or the stream or whatever it was, that he would have a good chance of getting away from him. But in that scene, like especially the chase down scene with the truck, he conveys just how outmatched that Moss is beautifully when he was talking about how when Moss spotted the truck, number one, it's nighttime. You know, he's back out there at night. So you got headlights turning off and turning back on. It's like he was being hunted again. So headlights turning off, then he sees them turn back on. But another thing is he describes how it started off that the truck was a mile to a mile and a half away from Moss, and within seconds it was only like 600 feet away from him, just getting hawked down. Like, this is also a metaphor to me of Chigurh, because it seemed like as you read through the book, like that every blink that especially Moss takes, that Chigurh's ass is closing in on him 10 or 15 steps every time he blinks. You know what I'm saying? But go ahead. He didn't escape unscathed. He barely escaped, and he had to go diving through all type of different terrain, get across to the desert, hiding in some fucking hole, all type of stuff that he had to do just to get away from that truck.
Yeah. But like you said, he did escape across the river, shot, and eventually, he does make his way out of the desert.
And then another thing, like, just to get the point across of how, how much of an ordeal he was in. Not only was he shot, he had to make a tourniquet for his arm. He was shot with a shotgun, so a buckshot was in his arm. He was shot. He also he was out there in such rough shape that the skin on the bottom of his feet was peeling off. He had to tie pieces of his shirt around his feet before he put them back in the boots. You know what I mean? My guy, you needed some socks, brother. But so it's anyway, let me continue on. He gets out of there, but again, like you said, not unscathed, and he makes it back home, and he knows for damn sure it's time for him and his wife to skip town in opposite directions. All right, but go ahead.
And then, yeah. So right around then, that's kind of like getting towards the end of that chapter 3.
Yeah. I think that's the end of chapter 2, if I'm not mistaken. Because then you go.
Okay, yeah. Then you get into chapter 3 with
Sheriff Bell is talking again. Sheriff Bell is talking,
and then that gets into the scene with the gas station.
But we don't get it. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. Sheriff Bell starts to. Go ahead. Never mind.
No, I was saying. Go ahead. Notes out of order. You can go.
Oh yeah, Sheriff Bell. He starts to reminisces again. At the beginning of every chapter so far, at least one of the sheriffs is talking. You hear some things. It starts off with the sheriff reminiscing about something almost every time, and Bell is reminiscing about how, and he's reminiscing and thinking about how, although the area is seen as somewhat peaceful, you never ever really know what you're getting into. in that area as a law enforcement officer. You damn near playing Russian roulette when you pull a car over. You know what I'm saying? Like he gets into a memory about how he rolled up on a pickup truck um, with some locals. I ain't gonna say the R word, rednecks, uh, out there in the middle of nowhere, and police officer or not, they did not care. What did they do? They basically told him, you didn't never see us, and if you think you saw us, you about to get shot. So, sheriff, you need to just go the other way. And that's what he did. You know, that's exactly what he did. Um, like I said, he stated explicitly that every car that you pull over is like gambling with your own life. He stated that explicitly. Um, but we jump back into the present time, out of the memories of Sheriff Bell, into chapter 3. And I know we're getting to what you've been waiting to talk about. And so, again, Moss, he sent his wife to Odessa where her mom slash grandma lives. He went to Del Rio. But go ahead.
I done had to pull the book back up, bro, because I think a good amount of my notes is out of order, but it gets into um okay. So he sends his wife and stuff away, and then
Mhm.
bro, what?
He sends her to her mom's house. He grabs. This is the thing. Instead of, you see, the dumb decisions by Moss don't stop while you get that in order. Instead of just fleeing and leaving the mess behind, he still takes the money case with him when he flees. Like, what is he even thinking? He's not thinking. So, like, when you get to chapter 3, you know what I'm saying? Like, the bus pulled into Fort Stockton at a 8:45, and Moss stood and got his bag down from the overhead rack and picked up the document case out of the seat.
All right.
Why do you have the document case when you're trying to get away? You know, at the very least, the people that's after you are after that case.
Nah, and you're that's right. And I want to go back.
Mhm.
So I want to go back to that end of chapter 2 um where he does get back home and his wife is making him the breakfast. And she's
Mhm.
trying to get him to like spill what's going on and telling her why she has to leave. Um and it was kind of crazy how he wrote that, just because in a situation where the panicking would be so high, he just seemed so calm. Um, and I thought that was crazy how he felt so calm when he's telling his wife that he found a satchel full of money and that it's under the bed. Like, he wasn't lying. Um, and then it cuts into the scene that I wanted to talk about where um Chigurh stops at the uh, local store and he
I
buys.
think it. I think it's some parallel storylines going on because it doesn't quite get there right after that. It doesn't quite get there right after that. Now, I think, just to get on your point about how calm he was, I don't necessarily think he was calm. I think he was trying not to have his wife panic. You know what I'm saying? Because he was panicking. I
Yeah.
feel like he was panicking, but he couldn't show it outwardly, or else he would have never got them out of that house that night.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So One second. Just give me just a minute. So another thing that happened that we kind of glossed over that I think I put in my notes out of order is that Chigurh actually visited the scene. Um,
Yeah,
and what happened when he visited the scene? You know what I mean?
yeah.
He
So
the
and
scene with his accomplices.
we glossed over that. So turns out the accomplices was the guys that was chasing Llewellyn. Um,
Mhm.
and he gets to the scene, and he's doing some looking around, and basically Chigurh kills them before they even get the chance to really react to anything. Like,
Yeah.
and it's later on said that he killed them so fast that guys couldn't even get the safety off their guns. So it just shows the profession. Like, he's a professional killer. Like, he's not someone to play the, like, you don't play with him. So and it's crazy that we did gloss over that. That was one of the parts where it really shows you how brutal he was, and it goes into the fact that he really didn't have any, like, it's no friends in his business. Like, he's alone. He's kind of like a lone wolf.
You know what? And I think the reason why I glossed over it was poor note taking because I took the notes on the part where the sheriff and Deputy Wendell found the scene.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot to put in the notes where Chigurh created the damn scene. Like, you know what I mean? But we got around to it. But yeah, he did. He killed them both, and it just demonstrates to you, like you said, not only a professional, that he's not really. He has a single minded focus. He doesn't even seem like in that scene where he's talking to the other two accomplices. He doesn't even seem to give two fucks. You know what I'm saying? Just to be frank about the people who even hired him, he don't seem scared of them either. He don't seem to think they hired me, and if I mess this job up, they're gonna hire another me to come and kill me. He doesn't even seem to. That doesn't even seem to cross his mind. You know what I mean? Um, and in other stories that we see where hitmen are involved, especially cartel hitmen, we've seen in other stories where cartel hitmen get killed by the real cartel hitman all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, but he just doesn't seem to have that fear in his body that at that point he just focused on killing. And he'd probably kill the people who hired him if he had the chance
Right.
or if he needed to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Everything is calculated with him. Like,
Mhm. So then you actually get out to the after Llewellyn and Carla Jean after they escape, you get to the point where Belle is about to go out and find the scene where Chigurh killed the two accomplices.
mm-hmm.
Like that's what happens, and then you get to the corner store coin flip. Probably I don't know. Is that the most famous scene in the movie?
Yeah, I think that is one of if it's not the famous, it is one of the famous scenes in the movie. Um, he stops in at like a gas station, and he buys a pack of cashews from the clerk, and he starts to ask the clerk a whole bunch of questions. And through the reading, you can kind of tell that the clerk is getting a little bit um anxious. It's almost like he's scared. Um, because he's just asking them like weird questions, like, "Have you lived here all your life? Um, like, who lives with you?" Like, and the guy's like, I need to close the store. Like he's basically, getting a little.
A
I
little
wouldn't
bit
even say,
antsy.
yeah, he's getting
Yeah.
antsy. Like, yo, like, what are you asking me this for? Um, and and he takes the 25-cent piece out of his pocket, Chigurh.
Hold on, don't get it ready. Don't get there yet. Paint the scene. Don't get there yet. Paint the scene out. Because he's getting antsy. Chigurh is standing there with no emotion in his eyes, eating peanuts.
Mm-hmm.
Cashews to be exact, not peanuts. Um, Paint out the scene. Like it's a like they describe how he's eating. They describe the look in his eyes, and it's just no feeling behind any of it.
Yeah,
You know
and
what I'm saying?
so in one part that I did find was crazy, the way that they was describing like his eyes. The man looked at Chigurh's eyes for the first time, blue as lapis, at once glistening and totally opaque, like wet stones. And he's describing what his eyes look like cold as wet as stones, while he's talking to him, which I just found it kind of crazy that he was probably looking at him dead in his face. Like he probably won't crack in a smile or anything. And it is very similar to how it was in the movie. Um, in that scene, like it almost brings you into a sweat while you're reading it.
Exactly. That's the thing about this book. And I was saying like earlier, and I'm not gonna get jump ahead too far because that's coming later. But I was saying earlier that when I was reading the book, parts that I knew about that was made beautifully in the movie that I knew I was still getting I was still feeling the tension from reading it because that's how good the book is written. So like you know how the coin flip scene goes because if you've seen the movie, but it doesn't matter that you know because it's like you experiencing it again for the first time. You know what I mean? That's how I felt when I was reading through it. It's like I was experiencing it for the first time because no matter how good the movie represents it, you are experiencing it for the first time if this is your first time reading the book because then you experiencing the actual vision of how it was supposed to. And I think that um out of the movies that I've seen that's based on books, that No Country for Old Men at least the I mean, and of course I haven't read that many books for entertainment purposes, so I might just be talking out of the side of my neck. But No Country for Old Men, the movie is one of the best representations on screen of a book. I think it is. But like you said, he's standing there, and it's like, in especially in this scene, it illustrates to me how the killing, him killing you or him letting you live, really is no different. Is not two different things to him.
Mm-hmm.
It's to him, it doesn't matter whether you live or die. He could get on with his day just as well if he just shot you in the face as if he waved at you and smiled.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because like you said, there was no emotion shown. He had no feeling about it. He was really just saying flat out, I'm leaving your life up to fate. And if you die right here, right now.
Right. All without
He,
really saying that. He's saying things
and,
like, "What's the most you ever lost on a coin toss?" Like,
right.
so it's like, and then, right? He he takes the coin out and flips it, right? Catches it, looks this guy dead in his face, and tells him to call it. The guy's like, what am I calling for? Like, what?
He said, what do I stand to win? You stand to win everything. That's what he
Right,
said.
like,
And he quite literally meant that.
uh,
He didn't also tell him that he stood to lose everything. You know what I mean? He just told him you stand to win everything. And excuse me. It's just like the tension in the scene is some of the most, even the scene that I was catching, like I was feeling the most tension at later on in in the first part, in chapter 4, that tension still don't rival this tension. You know what I'm saying? Because this is a person that literally just so happened to cross his path. It's not somebody who he was looking for. He just so happened to step into this guy's store. You know what I mean? And he decided to play a game of fate with the guy's life. Right then, right there, I don't think he put any forethought into it.
He didn't.
The conversation went a way that it went in such a way that he deemed it appropriate for the coin flip to happen. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I said, I described Chigurh as like I thought about the song title Creeping Death, and that was just like the perfect descriptor of him for me. Because his presence is almost something that's made to be inescapable in the first 4 chapters of the book. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like he can't even control who he kills.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because with the coin flip scene, he took the choice of killing the man out of his own hands. He flipped the coin, and if the coin flip would have went the other way, he would have took that cattle killer and blew a hole right in that dude's head. Mm-hmm. He had the oxygen tank with him. And that's what made the guy nervous. He saw the tank.
Yeah. And they said
that's
that
what
in the beginning, though. Like in the beginning of the scene with him.
Mm-hmm.
But and then another part about what I thought was crazy about that is he gets him to call it. The guy calls heads, and he uncovers the coin, and it shows heads. And he gives him the lucky coin. He's like, take it, it's your lucky coin. And the guy's like, he don't need it, but he's like, no, like, take this. And he tells him not to put it in his pocket because you wouldn't know which one it was. And I thought that was crazy because he's really serious. Like, this was your lucky day because you almost died. And like reading this, I just know the clerk had a crazy, like, it was probably like an instant relief. Like, it felt like a pressure on your chest reading that. Like, I don't know. It's just like if I was put in that situation, I wouldn't really know how to feel. Like, it would be probably one of the most terrifying things ever.
Exactly. But it's true. It's like you said, he probably felt a presence leave. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He had to feel like a ominous presence leave, and an ominous presence that he hoped he never comes across again in his life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but this joint is fire.
But after he leaves, you know what I'm saying? After the coin toss happens, that's when you get to the point of view of the sheriff discovering Chigurh's handiwork with his own accomplices. And then You go past that, you get to Moss in the motel room. You get to Moss in the motel room. And this is why Moss, this is the thing with Moss, and like why you look at him and it's easy to get frustrated with him because he knows he should stop this bullshit.
Right.
He knows he should stop and he refuses to stop. Because he's doing stuff as if he knows he's about to get his head blown off. He's operating like he knows he is gonna die in a few minutes. But he still doesn't change any of his ways. You know what I mean? He got shot, and he, in his mind, even though this is not explicitly stated in the book, he got shot at the scene when he returned to the scene that night. And in his mind, he does not, I think he just thinks, okay, I got shot because I was out there. Not because I have the case, but because I went back. What happens next? Something that we didn't mention. It was a small thing, but it could have been a big thing, because who popped up at Llewellyn Moss's front door?
Yeah. So Chigurh, and this also goes into more of the tools that he was used, because he also another small part that we kind of skipped over. While he was when he went to the scene, he saw Llewellyn's truck, peeled off the license plate, and in turn got his address. And then he used the cattle gun to shoot the front door lockout, walk straight into his crib, check every room, drink some of his milk, and sit on his couch.
He did go around the town asking about him, and people did stay solid. They didn't tell him where they thought he could find him at. Mm-hmm. They did stay solid, but he showed up at Moss's house. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? He showed up at his house. Now, Moss wasn't able to see that, but he knew it was happening. Something in his mind was telling him it was happening, and he was close to death. And that you can tell because of how he was operating. Mm-hmm. So he gets to the hotel room. He gets to the first motel that he decides to spend a night at. First thing he does, he hides the money. You know what I'm saying? He has the pistol that he found at the scene, and he has the submachine gun that he found at the scene, and I think a shotgun that he found at the scene along with the money. So he's well armed at this point. He he hides the money in the duct. You know what I mean? He does that. And then what does he have to do? What does he do? He falls asleep. He tends to his arm, takes a shower, falls asleep. Just so happened that he decides he wants to go for a walk, right? After he took a nap, he woke up, decides he wants to go for a walk. He goes out, and then he comes back, and he's so on edge. This is what I'm saying, that he knew that he was in trouble that he hadn't even seen yet. You know what I mean? Because he was so on edge that just the curtain being slightly cracked on his hotel room, just the curtain being slightly cracked on his hotel room, made him decide not to go back in. He was damn dead right not to go back in, because there was 2 cartel members in there waiting for his ass. But he didn't know that. He just knew this curtain is cracked open 2 inches. And when I left, it wasn't cracked open 2 inches. So I need to go. A person that's not on edge is not noticing a 2-inch crack in the curtain. For all you know, like the way that motel was described, it sounds like one of those ones that got that one of those raggedy hotel rooms that got the air conditioner unit right up under the curtain. For all you know, the air conditioner could have blew the curtain open. But no, just that little disturbance. Uh, uh, just that little disturbance made him not even test going back in that room. You know what I mean? Um, he leaves everything. He had to leave everything and flee to a different hotel. He had to flee to a different hotel. The cab driver is like, bro, I don't want to get wrapped up into this. I don't want to get into this. Moss had to tell him, brother, you already in it, and I'm trying to get you out of it. Because they was both about to get killed. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it won't even the killer to be scared of wasn't even there yet. You know what I mean? Even though, I mean, any guys that's carrying AK-47s and shit, and they hunting for you exclusively, I guess those are killers to be scared of too. Because if he would have opened that hotel room, he would have been. I don't even think he would have been filled with holes. His upper body would have just got disintegrated. Based off of how those guys were armed. He leaves, flees to a different hotel, and of course he had to leave all his weapons, so he had to go to a sporting goods store, buy another weapon. He made a potent weapon. He made a sawed-off shotgun. He's a smart dude. Like, this is a prime example of a smart person doing dumb things. Like, dude, just doing outright stupidity. You know, like, and it's a good illustration of what $2.9 million will turn a person into. Not even the idea of 2.9 or 2.4, however many $1 million it was. The you looking and seeing that amount, thinking you have it, and actually having it, two greatly different things, I would imagine. You know what I mean? So, so of course, Anton Chigurh is on his trail. And like, how is this guy popping up every damn where that Moss is at? Everywhere. How is he? And we're gonna get to how he's popping up to everywhere he's at in just a second. So, excuse me. Let me just a second. He pops up at the original room. This time, not the air tank. What is he carrying? The other weapon, the big ass silenced shotgun. And I'm talking about the description that Cormac wrote in the book of how that gun sounds. They perfectly recreated how that gun sounds in the movie, of how he said it should sound. Because if you ever seen that movie and you actually hear the sound effect they used on that gun, I mean, it damn near sound like a gunshot is happening and it got turbo lag, like in like in a twin turbo Supra or something. Uh, but one second. So he finds them, and then his proficiency as a killer is perfectly illustrated. He goes in there, shotguns them down. And they armed with submachine guns and an AK-47. Guns them. Guns down the one on the bed before he could even look. Guns down another one. bathroom doors closed, must be another one in there. So what does he do? He stands outside the hotel room and just turns the corner and lets that shotgun do all the talking. You know what I mean? Go ahead, man. I know that had to be another one of your favorite scenes. I know it was one of mine.
Yeah, it was one of my favorites. And it was, I feel like the book did it a little bit more justice because in the movie it was a really good scene, but it just shows how brutal of a killer he was. And it was really a shoot first, ask questions later type of thing. Like, even down to um, the guy that was behind the door was like still like breathing, and it said he goes, sticks his head away, so the towel from the ground wouldn't pop up on him and hit him in the face, and he blows a hole in this guy's face that's in the bathtub just to finish him off. It just goes to show you how ruthless Chigurh was, and and also how he just moves so tactical. Like he moves like he knows exactly what he's doing.
Mhm. Exactly.
And
He
no one is
definitely
spared.
moved.
Nobody is spared except for
Nobody.
one guy with the coin flip.
And he wasn't really spared. He just won the coin flip. If he would have lost the coin flip, he would have been dead too.
Mm-hmm.
Cattle prod. Not even a cattle prod. Cattle prod is the electric thing, ain't it? It would have been that bolt through his face from that oxygen tank. And the crazy thing about that coin flip scene too is Chigurh got that terrifying. He terrified dude without even threatening.
Yeah.
He didn't threaten dude. You know what I mean? He didn't even threaten him. That's the thing about it. But we continue. He turns the 1 second. He turns the hotel room into a complete bloodbath. Killed every dealer that was in there, all three of them. But of course, the guy that he was looking for wasn't there, and the package that he was looking for also wasn't there. Again, I just think that he's on his mission and he's sticking to his mission. He doesn't give a damn about I don't think he even cares about the bosses. We might find out later on more about the bosses later on in the book, but I don't know if we will. Because when he was having the conversations with his other two accomplices before he killed them, he damn near put on a display that he don't give a damn about what the bosses or what the people who hired him think about what he's doing. Mm-hmm. He was like, he basically was like, "What about him?" That's what it sounded like he was saying when the guys brought up the bosses to him. He was like, "So what?" Right? But he gets to the point, excuse me, where he's finished mopping the floor with those dealers that was in Llewellyn Moss's original hotel room. Moss is across town. You know what I mean? Moss is across town. Well, damn, I gotta quit glossing over stuff. Moss has come back. This is how we figure out that somebody is in his hotel room besides the crack in the curtains. And I've jumped around because I keep forgetting that some of these storylines are parallel. You know what I mean? Moss comes back and he gets another room. He gets a second room. And he's talking to the clerk. She's trying to convince him to get the room that's next to his previous room. But he gets her to get the hotel map out. And this is what I'm saying. This is a smart dude. He gets her to get the hotel map out, and what does he does? He uses the map to find the room that shares a wall with his original room so he can fish that money out with the tent poles that he bought from the sporting goods store. Because not only did he buy the gun, he bought tent poles. He bought a tent just for the poles so he could make a tool to fish the money out from the other side of the duct. You know what I mean? So he does that, and he can hear ever so faintly the TV from the room that he was in previously. He can hear it just enough to know somebody is in there. Makes him know he has to be extra careful with what he's doing, because if he alerts them to that duct, he's cooked. You know? But he got the money out, and then he fled to the other hotel. Got his room, and of course, he's in the room, and he went to sleep again. And again, like I said, just blinking make it seem like every time you blink, Chigurh done gained 10, 15 steps on you. Going to fucking sleep, excuse my language. You ever had that feeling like, I know I've had this, and he had this joint 10 times over what I've had it, because my life wasn't in danger. But I'm asleep. I done forgot to set my alarm, but my body just know it's 8 o'clock and I need to be up getting ready for work. He had that happen to him. He was asleep, no alarms was set, but his body knew he was about to die. His body knew, I'm finna get killed. So he woke up. Nothing woke him up. He woke up out of the blue, and he just had thoughts racing through his mind. Again, to this point, none of the thoughts were leave this money where it is and never come back. At this point, it was already too late, because at least it was already too late for him to ever go back home, because Chigurh knows who he is. He knows his name, which is the reason why he got the tag off the truck, as you stated earlier, is not to know where the person was, but to know who he was, because his intent was to never let him live. Like, his intent is to hunt him down wherever he might go. You know what I mean? So he got the tag. He found out who he was. And his thought was not, I need to get myself out of this to what extent I can. His thought was, how the hell is this person? How the hell do these people keep finding me? And what does he think? I know. Tell me it's not true. Hell no. Tell me it's not true. He searches through the case, looking for a false bottom, doesn't find it, but he does find a stack of hundreds, or I think it's just $1 bills with this. I don't think it's hundreds for this stack. I think he finds a stack of dollar bills with the centers cut out of it, and what's packed in there? A transponder for a tracking device. And at that point, he knew that he was completely cooked, because he immediately went to the front desk. A different clerk is there now, the night clerk, and asked him to tell him if anybody checks into the room, bribes him with some money. If anybody checks into the hotel. And this again shows you the stupid decisions, as if the person that's fucking hunting you was checking in, brother. The last people who showed up didn't check in. They just came into your room that you had already bought. Nobody was checking in. All he did was, you know what I'm saying? All he did was murder that clerk. That's all he did. And take the key. That's all Chigurh did. He didn't check in. He came, he found the ledger which you wanted, took the extra key to the room, blew the clerk's head off. And he found the tracker, and this is the scene that I was saying that it was tense to me, because he describes it so well. Moss gets in the shower. or he goes in the bathroom, doesn't get in the shower, turns on the shower to give the impression that somebody is in it, gets under the bed with his sawed off shotgun pointed at the front door. And what did he say? What did Cormac say? He said something to the effect of Moss's has his gun trained on the front door. He's under the bed. There's just enough space for him under there. It's just the right amount of space for him to fit. He's looking at the door. The light is leaking in under the crack of the door. And what's the next words? The shit that can give you chills. Two dark pillars interrupted the light. Right. That's bro legs outside of that door with the light blocking the light, and his shadow was being cast on the door. Two dark pillars interrupted the light that was streaming in under the door. And I was like, yo, bro, it was like I was under that bed watching him step foot in front of that door. I might have to find it and read it, bro. Like, let me, because I'll find that quick. Maverick County Courthouse. No, it was before this. The light climbed out. This is after this. Max, he got the money out. Look. Okay. All right. 1 second. Because this was an inside hotel they were at when the shootout took place. All right. Yeah. You get there. Around the AK-47 scare. Moss. It was an H&K machine pistol that Moss had, not a Mac 11. Heckling Koch. All right. He put the key in his pocket. He climbed in. Don't mean to do this. I should have had this highlighted. He found it. Got the shotgun out of the bag. Laid it on the bed. Turned on the bedside lamp, went to the door, turned off the overhead lamp, came back and stretched out on the bed, staring at the ceiling. He's nervous. Emptied out the bag, put the shotgun, zipped the bag up. Like, this is where he's telling them, he's bribing them to ring the phone if anybody checks in the hotel. Anybody. Shotgun in hand, went to the bathroom, pulled back the shower curtain. Sat at the door listening. He dragged the nylon bag, pushed it under the bed. He's under the bed with the shotgun pointed at the door. Just space enough beneath the wooden slats. Heart pumping against the dusty carpet, he waited. 2 columns of dark intercepted the bar of light. Bruh, tell me that ain't some masterful shit. And that's when it was time to face fate. How was you feeling when you was reading that?
It was another one of those feelings of like you're almost there, like you're almost in a sweat because it's so tense. Like damn near staring death in the face at this point. Like you have met fate, and essentially he had the upper hand.
Well, not just yet. He did. It didn't happen yet. Let's paint the scene out. So he was under the bed, and then what happened next?
He comes in and Well, he said don't turn around, and he said if he does turn
Mm.
around, he's gonna shoot him.
Yep, because of course Chigurh had went down there, confiscated that extra key. He had it, so he opened it up. Now Chigurh, of course, he's not perfect. He's thinking Moss is in the shower, so he can hear the shower. So he opens it up with the key as softly as he can, as to not disturb the person that he thinks is in the shower. But really, the person has got the Moss has the drop on him because he's in the under the bed, gun pointed at the front at the hotel room door.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? He 1 second, and then he when he opened the door, he didn't even come in, bruh. He stepped to the side for a second, and then he just crept on in, bro. Moss let him get to the bathroom door because that's where I mean, if it's me, bro, I would have shot his fucking legs from under him, right?
Nah,
I got a sawed off. I would have blew his ankles off,
nah.
brother.
I
But
would have did the same because it's like at that point I'm already thinking the worst. Like I'm not even gonna let you get the chance to even think you've got a one up. Like as soon as I would have saw his legs come in the room, and he
and that's the thing. The thing about it is Chigurh realized like he's so sharp with it. He realized almost instantly that nobody is in that bathroom.
mm-hmm.
But he didn't never open the door. It says in the book on the page, Moss realized he was never going to open that door. He was about to turn around, and if he turned around, I'm dead.
Mm-hmm.
So you dealing with that kind of killer. And the next, that's why the next few decisions that Moss made puzzle me, bruh. Like they puzzle me because I guess you gotta sometimes when you're reading something or when you experiencing a story, you gotta realize the characters in the story is not they're not meant to know everything we know. So Moss probably doesn't know that the law enforcement officers probably want this guy dead. They want him dead, right? Because he's already killed one of their own. He's killed a bunch of other people. He's killed two of his own. So Moss might be thinking, like, we gotta put himself in his shoes. Might be thinking that if I just blow this guy away, they might look at me like I'm the murderer. But no, bro, he was there to kill you. It's time to kill or be killed. Like so, even with that, even thinking like that, I'm puzzled by the decisions that Llewellyn Moss would decide to make next. Because the next thing he did was he popped from under the bed and held him at gunpoint. And like you said, he told him what? Don't turn around. What happened next?
He didn't move. Uh, then he made him drop his gun. He picked up the gun and then he threw it on the bed. Um, he and then he grabbed the money and then he
His
ended up
ass was so he wanted that money so bad he threw the bed aside with one freaking arm to get that money because the money could not be left behind under any circumstance, even under the circumstance that you are going to die behind this money. But go ahead.
yeah. So and he ends up taking the money, um, and he kind of leaves Chigurh to kind of run outside. Um,
So
then
he led Chigurh down the. He took the money, but he also made Chigurh follow him. Like
yeah,
he didn't leave Chigurh. He made him follow him, walking backwards. He got to the stair because he wanted him. I don't know what possessed him to do that. Of course, he wasn't going to turn his back on him. I guess he wanted to see him. So he made him follow him, walking backwards. Of course, he threatened him. You turn around, I'm going to blow you to hell. But he got to the stairwell. He escaped, but he didn't escape. Because all hell was about to break loose. Boom. Chigurh didn't even chase him. What did he do? He went to a balcony and stood up there and shot his ass 2 times from the balcony. Shot him in the arm and then shot him in the hip. Quick like that. Llewellyn Moss is having he damn near showing respect. Damn, that dude is a shot. He quite a shot. Like, this is why I'm saying I'm puzzled, because there should have been no questions asked. You know, this is the guy. This is the one that caught up with you. None of that other shit caught up with you. You outsmarted all of them except for him. At the very least, at the very most, you and him was on even playing field, because he was walking into where you were. The Mexicans in your previous hotel room, you outsmarted them. The Mexican or the guys, the 2 guys that chased you at the scene, when you returned, you outsmarted them. This guy, you acknowledge, would have killed you if you would have waited 1 split second more to pop out from under that bed and put him at gunpoint. You would have died. If you would have gave him the chance to turn around away from the bathroom door, you were finished. So I don't understand. Well, I do understand it, because we got to have more book to read. But just in the mind of Moss, why is Chigurh's spine not hanging out of his stomach cavity? His back is to that bathroom door. Blow his back through his chest and go. You know what I mean? But that's not what he did. He decided he was going to take the money and run for it, and he got 2 bullet wounds. He started off with 2 bullet wounds. But what happened? What else happened? The guys, more of them was after him. So at the point where Chigurh is shooting at him from the balcony, a car tries to run him over. They miss him. They get out, fully automatic guns. Boom, 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 boom. Popping at him. And this is why I love how this book is written, because at this point, Moss is running. He's injured. He's been shot multiple times. He's damn near collapsing. He's not only being pursued by Chigurh, he's being pursued by these 2 unnamed hitmen that's after him. And what you get left to wonder, why is he not dead? Not why is he not dead from the gunshot wounds he's already sustained. Why is he not dead from getting shot more? And you're not told why he's not dead from getting shot more. You get the pep talk he's giving himself to motivate himself to live through this. He sat down. He's passing out. Get up, you son of a bitch. You don't sit here and die. Don't you sit here and die. So he gets up. He doesn't sit there and die. He continues towards the Rio Grande, because I'm just guessing that's where he's at, because he's crossing a river to get into Mexico. He continues. He's walking. He's right there. He sees 4 kids. I want to buy a coat off of you. Do one of y'all have a coat? Let me buy it. I give you $500 for it. It didn't go quite that smoothly. The kids were skeptical, but I'm just abridging it a little bit. But what happened? What happened next? He wipes his eyes. There's only 3 kids left. Where'd the 4th one go? There was no 4th one. That shows you how bad off he was, that he was seeing doubles. Death was around the corner for him. You know what I mean? And then, of course, we get to we get to a part. He finally makes it over the border. No, he has the coat. He gives the kids money to stain with his own blood. I think at this point is when he finally gave up on the case because he threw it over the bridge. Yeah, he got rid of it. It was only after you had multiple bullets and multiple hitmen shooting at you at the same time that you thought to get rid of this. He crosses over, finds a park bench, lays on it. And the Mexican guy that was sweeping up the streets walks over to him. And the world is a ruthless place because you're laying there shot, saying, I need a doctor. You don't know. The Mexican guy doesn't speak English, but he does speak money because he rubbed his two fingers together. You know what I mean? To let you know that if we gonna continue this conversation, pay up. Now Moss had peeled off a few hundred, maybe $1,000, so he had some of the money in his pocket, to bribe him with another bloodstained bill. At this point, how is you feeling about how this scene is going?
It was a real time of desperation, and we can also go back because Chigurh, he still comes out of the hotel and he still deals with the other two guys.
Exactly, and I don't mean to cut you off, but that's why I was saying I love how it's written, and I was getting to it because I was wondering why did they stop shooting at him, and the thing that you just said is the reason. Why is they not killing him? Why is the guys that's on his back not killing him? Because Chigurh crept up on them. And they had to turn around and start shooting at him. Go ahead, continue.
But they was like, bruh, by the time they figured out where Chigurh was even shooting from, one of them was already killed and another one wounded. Chigurh basically walks over to where the guy was behind the cart, and Chigurh's like, "Look at me," and he asked him, "Does he speak English?" And then he tells him, "Don't look away. I want you to look at me." Right before he shoots him. Right.
And Chigurh wasn't unscathed. Moss did shoot him.
Yeah.
He shot him with the shotgun. So Chigurh was limping across the street. Moss did shoot Chigurh with the shotgun as he was running away after he got shot. He should have killed him in the hotel room, but he didn't. But if he wanted to be extra careful, he should have killed him with his own gun, the silenced one. But I wouldn't have even done that. I would have just shot him with the one I already had pointed at him. But this is not me. This is Llewellyn Moss. 1 second. He crossed into Mexico. Anton makes the final dealer look him in the eye as he kills him, as you just stated, my boy. As you just stated. I was damn near about to cross over into chapter 5.
Yeah,
but
that's how it ends.
That's how chapter 4 ends, with Chigurh making that dealer stare death into the face right before he killed him, with Moss laying damn near dying on a park bench just over the border to Mexico, and with Chigurh shot, but still very much in hot pursuit. At this point, like I said, he doesn't give a damn who has the case. He's killing everybody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like, to me, it's not even about the money at this point. It's more or less, I keep having to look for you, and I'm not about to keep playing with you. Like, and I think it was gonna happen this time, but I think it caught Chigurh by surprise, and it's also to Llewellyn's quick thinking, and it just goes to show you that Llewellyn makes several dumb decisions, but he's not dumb. Like he's instinctively smart.
Mhm. That's the thing. He is. But you know how it is. Common sense isn't common, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's a saying for a reason because is he has the tools in his mind to get him out of all of these situations, but he just doesn't have the motivation to get himself out of this situation. He has the motivation to have $2.5 million. Like that's what he has the motivation to do. That's what he has the motivation to do.
He has
Hmm?
the motivation to have that money that he in
Exactly.
it's money like it's a crazy amount of money. So like I get it, but at the hands of death, it seems crazy. But I'm eager to read chapter 5, and I'm glad we have 30 people in here watching. So thank you for that as well. Um, but I'm so
Absolutely.
ready to read chapter 5. Like I really don't know what to expect. Because I feel like when I'm watching the movie, like at this point in the movie, like the movie's almost done. So like, and we still have a good amount of book left. So
That's what I was saying. It feel like, but that's because the book can get so much more intricate what the story is telling than the movie can. Because a movie, it's gotten a little bit more ambitious now. Like I think ain't isn't Oppenheimer like 4 hours long, bro? Like,
mm-hmm.
um, so it's gotten a little bit more towards that now. But No Country for Old Men came out 2007. They wasn't putting no 4 hour movies in theaters in 2007. It just wasn't happening. So some of this stuff had to be condensed. Some of this stuff had to be condensed, and I wanna go out with one of my favorite parts of what we read. Like because we were just telling how we were going through it, telling how we feel, discussing the themes of the book, discussing the storylines. But there was one part that was so well written, bro. So well written. Let me go back. It's in chapter 4. And I'm like, I got the physical book, and I don't like dog earing my shit, man. So like, I gotta go back and actually find a page.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't like dog. I don't want my book to have a bunch of bent up corners. But there's a part where Moss is crossing into Mexico. You know what I mean? And he is on the verge of death. He's bleeding out. He's shot multiple times, not only by Chigurh, but also shot by the two hitmen who ambushed him. That Chigurh ended up ambushing. Um, One second. Let me see. Let me see. Let me find it. I read it to you. I read the part I was talking about last night before we did the regular stream.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 1 second. Here it is. And this like I said last night when I was reading this, like in real time, it's like I could hear the dog bark. I could hear the dogs bark echo, and then go away and the silence just return. So I'm gonna just read the whole paragraph. When he reached the place where the river actually passed beneath the bridge, he stopped and stood looking down in it. Looking down at it. Excuse me. I'm tripping. What am I doing? The Mexican gate shack was just ahead. He looked back down the bridge, but the three were gone the three that he thought were four at first. A grainy light to the east. This is how Cormac do it. He'll just be telling a story, then stop and paint a scene. So he stopped to paint this scene. A grainy light to the east, over the low black hills beyond the town. The water moved beneath him, slow and dark. A dog somewhere. Silence. Nothing. It's like you could hear. It's like when you reading that in real time, you can hear that dog bark. You hear the sound echo 2 to 3 times, and you hear it return back to nothingness. And you can, in his mind, you can just feel that he is contemplating all the stupid shit that he's done in the past 2 days. Because at that point, if I'm not mistaken, is right before or right after he threw the money into the river. You know what I'm saying? Mhm. He said this right after that. There was a stand of tall Parizo cane growing along the American side of the river below him. And he set the zipper bag down. That was the bag he was keeping his guns in. Took hold of the case by the handles, swung it behind him, and then heaved it over the rail out into space. White hot pain. Yeah, he's shot up. But it was only after he was riddled with bullets that he think it was time for that to go. But this will be continued next Wednesday when we cover chapters 5 to 9 in No Country for Old Men, part 2.